Calloway, and it's day 2, the final day of the New Jersey Comic Expo, November 20th, 2016. And I'm here with Jamal Igle.
How's it going?
Of Molly Danger fame, and now of Black.
Yeah, Black.
So tell me, how did you get that assignment?
Kwanzaa, Osafajo, and Tim Smith, who created Black. I've known them in various capacities for years, actually. Kwanzaa was my editor when I worked on The Ray over at DC and worked on Smallville season 11. I have to remember which season it is. Season 11. And Tim I've known, from like the con circuit, and he's done a bunch of stuff, and they're both former and current. Kwanzaa worked at Marvel and DC as an editor. He was the shepherd of the Zuda imprint at DC when they were doing that, and then Tim freelances and does some contract work for various companies. So they actually came over to my apartment and showed me the pitch for the project, and I saw the pitch and I was just like, oh, there's no way I can say no to this. This is like, I was trying to come up with any excuse, because I'm open, I'm open to different ideas, but I also know my schedule, especially at the time, and I was just like trying to figure. It's like, well, they'll show me it, I might not be interested in it, but I'll politely decline, but at least take a look and see what they're doing. But it's such a cool concept that I had to say yes. So.
I love your art style in this. You're using gray tones, black and white gray tones.
Yeah, that was definitely a very obvious stylistic choice by Kwanzaa. It's because it was originally intended to be printed manga, like sort of like an Americanized manga, sort of take. But when we did so well with the Kickstarter and decided to just make it normal comic format as opposed to the smaller format, we decided to keep that gray tone wash that Sarah did on the first 2 issues, and now our new colorist who's taking over, Rachel, will be picking up with issue 3.
Okay. Yeah, the Kickstarter did really well. I mean, you met your goal very quickly on that, I believe.
Yeah, we met our initial goal. We were shooting for $30,000. We got the first $30,000 in 4 days.
That's $30,000
in 4 days. And then by the time the campaign was over, we got $92,000.
That is, and so then of course you could go publish it as regular sized comic book.
Yeah,
you had the built-in audience right there.
Absolutely.
And how have sales been? I mean, from what I've seen, it's been healthily stocked on the shelves in my local comic shop.
Right.
They're going out the door. I mean, it's doing well.
Yeah, no, the first issue sold its print run at Diamond, which forced it to a second printing. So it was a 22,000 print run on the first printing. So it went into second printing, and issue 2 just came out and is doing pretty well, and issue 3 will be out fairly soon, and we're moving ahead. It's the story has become very complex, and I guess we're upping the ante, especially going like the next 3 issues. I just started working on issue 4. Issue 6 is 40 pages. So it's going to be it's a huge undertaking, but it's one that I'm looking forward to in a slightly psychotic way.
Is that the end of the first arc?
That's the end of the first arc. Each arc is 6 issues. The 6 planned issues. There's going to be 3 arcs to the story. So this is A New Hope. The next arc is the Empire Strikes Back, and then the 3rd arc is Return of the Jedi. So
you have the major framework there of the whole plot. And is it? Do you plan it to be a limited type series?
It was always planned to be a limited series.
Beginning, middle, end.
Right, exactly. I'm more of a fan personally. I mean, this is more something that's more of a question that you would point to Kwanzaa, because it essentially is his baby, more than any of ours. I mean, You
have some insight.
I have some insight, but yeah, it's essentially Kwanzaa's baby. But I know for myself as a writer, I prefer a finite story. I think that when you have a defined beginning and middle and end, how you tell the story in between is different But if you know that you have to reach certain tent poles as you're moving through the story, then it becomes more interesting for me as a writer, and it becomes more interesting, I think, for readers, that they know that there is a defined ending to any said story. I mean, one of my favorite comic books of the last decade is Ex Machina, and you always knew that Ex Machina had a defined beginning, middle, and end. And the same thing with Preacher. You knew that there was an end coming to Preacher. It's hard when you are doing an ongoing narrative, because there's always that problem of eventually self-cannibalizing yourself. You eventually end up telling a story that you told maybe 5 years ago, or just trying to find a different take on it, which is fine. Some stories are built that way, some characters are built that way. But for me, as a creative person, I like knowing the map and where I want to get to. And then if I decide that I want to go off-road, after I follow the trail, then that's a completely different thing.
Right.
Did I use enough metaphors? Or?
I got you there. No, I know what you're saying. Absolutely. It's certainly interesting to see that, it does have a beginning, middle, and end. Because it is hard with properties, like the big two properties, they have to keep going and perpetuating and keep finding some way to retell the story.
Well, when you're working on a property at Marvel or DC, or even any company that decides to go that route, essentially what it becomes is brand management more than anything else. You're perpetuating your brand, you're building on that audience, you're trying to spread that audience out to, especially these days, to other media. So their goal is to maintain that brand. That means that you can't really make huge changes over a long term. And after a while, like a character like Superman has been around for 77 years at this point. So Superman has everybody who wants to work on Superman probably grew up reading Superman or being exposed to Superman at some point, or being exposed to comics at some point. So there are only so many stories that you can tell narratively, especially nowadays, since we're all pulling from the same pool of consciousness, of information. As technology improves, that pool is getting bigger and a little bit deeper, but then you start to see those narrative connective tissues from different cultures sort of permeating into what we do here. Like it always fascinates me when somebody makes a comparison between something like Dragon Ball Z or what's it, One Punch Man. I mean, they're basically Superman analogs when you think about it. Goku more so than Saitama. Goku's an alien from another planet who gets more powerful and more powerful. He's inherently good. He's got black hair. He always does the right thing. It's that we all, even going back historically, we all sort of fall back into those same tropes, for lack of a better word. When I was younger, I was a big fan of Joseph Campbell, and still am in a lot of ways. But the idea of the hero's journey, and the concept that all heroic narratives stem from a single source, way back, that nobody actually remembers, but sort of splintered off as the tribes divided across the continents and across the world. I think there is a truism to that idea. I think that essentially when you're building these narratives, getting back to your initial question, when you're building these characters over a long period of time and trying to maintain those brands, and then even if you bring in new creators every generation, they're already influenced by the stuff that they've already seen. So you're going to run into similar storylines or similar ideas, and you'll try your hardest to kind of do a slightly different spin on it. So but I mean, you look at how many characters like Spider-Man that have come out since 1960. I mean, they're not trying to be Spider-Man, but there are some that are intentionally trying to echo Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But Spider-Man in himself is the brand, so they have to maintain that brand, and there's a certain recognizability to that brand that keeps the people who love Spider-Man coming back to that character and reading that character over and over again. So their job is to maintain that idea. Like, you can make Peter Parker the head of Parker Industries, but he's always going to fall back on that old Parker luck eventually. Right. Something's going to go wrong. Yeah, something's going to boomerang. It's going to go wrong. When Dan Slott leaves, eventually he will leave, although he'll probably have to riot from his cold, dead hands at this point. I was looking, like, I still have his first was a Big Time. It was like first issue of Big Time, and I realized it's been like 6 years. He's been writing Spider-Man for 6 years. You hardly have. It's amazing when you think about it. It's hardly have that many writers who have been able to be on a book for that long and make such an indelible mark on the character. But that at a certain point, another writer's going to come in, and he may reference that stuff, but he's going to try to find a way to reset Spider-Man, or Marvel is going to want to find a way to reset Spider-Man to a point that people recognize and go back to, he's broke, he's working for a newspaper, or whatever. He's stringing as a freelance photographer. He's got bad luck with women. His girlfriends are always dying. There's always going to be that reset back, and that's the same thing with Superman. It's like when they did the New 52. I wasn't crazy about the way they portrayed Superman in the New 52, but I'm loving what Pete Tomasi and Pat Gleason are doing on Superman now. And it's not that it's the same Superman. It's to me, it's sort of the logical conclusion of where things probably should have gone before the New 52. But it's a version of Superman that I enjoy, that I'm familiar with as a fan of the character. So to me, they're getting back to brand.
That's the cycle that tends to happen with fans too, is that they want something different.
Right.
Because they're tired of the same old, same old. So the writer will break out and do something a little different with the character, sometimes to the point where it's not even recognizable in a way. It's too different from the core characteristics of the character. And then we're going back to basics. And then you hear that, we're tired of the same old, same old. And then it kind of goes around.
That's the cycle, though. But you got to take. I mean, I'm not saying that they can't take those chances. Honestly, like, half the stuff that I would want to write for Marvel involves me killing major characters. So, people would not be happy with me. But I can also take those ideas and spin those off into different things. I prefer for myself as a writer, if I'm going to write something, it has to be something that I feel some modicum of control over. If I'm going to write it long term, and invest my time and my energy into it. My opinion on this might change in a couple of years. I don't feel the overwhelming, burning desire necessarily to write, Superman long term or write Batman long term. That's just not where I am right now. Like, I don't mind doing little things here and there. I might have something coming up pretty soon, actually, that I was approached about doing. It's different than I would have imagined, but it's fun. It's a non-superhero thing, but it's definitely comics. So, and I just did a story for Princeless that'll be coming out fairly soon. It's just a short, 8-page story. But again, it's a non-superhero thing. And it's probably the antithesis of anything else that you would see in an issue of Princeless. But it's something that I wanted to do. It's a story that I wanted to do. So.
Well, I'm glad that you are doing non-superhero work, because this is a great environment to be doing that in. This age right now, there's a lot more diversity. People are breaking out outside of superheroes.
Right.
People are going with beginning, middle, and short-term runs rather than a long, ongoing brand, as you said.
Right.
It's nice to see that a book like Black is doing something different.
Oh yeah.
It's actually it is set in today's society. I mean, it's a superhero book in a way, but still, it's very grounded in reality.
Right.
As far as the people and the things they face and the way they feel, and some of the same social issues that we face
absolutely.
today.
And there's a dichotomy amongst the characters themselves. They're not cookie cutter. They're not, it's not. One of the problems I think that we face as a society right now, amongst black people, is the idea that we're all supposed to be into the same things, or we're supposed to speak a certain way, or this is something I've run into my entire life. I grew up in Flatbush, but I was the art kid. I was a kid who was listening to John Williams movie soundtracks on my Walkman and wearing a black leather motorcycle jacket when everybody else was listening to New Edition and Kid and Play and all that stuff way back in the day. So that was just never my thing, and I ran up against other black people who just thought I was weird. And it wasn't until I got older that I realized, okay, there were more people like me out there. We're not all just this, to quote Key and Peele, we are not a monolith. But it's great because the series is a reflection, and this is a conversation that Kwanzaa, Tim, Kari, and I have had amongst ourselves. Is we are all different people. We all have different opinions about the world, and we want to see that reflected in the series as well. And I think Kwanzaa does a really good job of capturing that idea and moving that idea forward. Especially introducing a character like Swerve in issue 2, who's a who's a transgender woman.
Yeah.
And Kareem has a very not overly violent, but just sort of like very typical, of some people reaction to that idea. And Swerve being Swerve, she is very forward and very, very much in his face about it. Not aggressively, but just saying, this is who I am, deal with it. But we don't dwell on it, and we move forward. You see she's as much a part of the team as any other character.
We've come a long way since the JSA of the 40s.
This is true. This is very, very true. We've come a long way since the JSA and the Infinity Incorporated of the 80s.
Right. Well, Jamal, thank you so much. Wish you the best of luck with this book and what's coming down the pike that we're going to learn about.
Still working on Molly Danger.
Yep.
Working on Black. I've got a couple other things that will be announced fairly soon. I can't talk about them just yet, but next few months, I'll start making some more announcements.
All right. Awesome.
All right.
Well, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.